Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today I'm joined by Wade, Wade from the Wasteland YouTube channel. How you doing today, Wade?
I'm good, man. How are you, Anthony?
I'm good. So, so for so for for the people that might not be aware of you would you mi- would you mind explaining exactly what you do, exactly what you do on your channel?
Yeah. So I am a combat sports YouTube channel. I mostly focus in the influencer boxing scene, and I cover everything from all influencer boxing events to pro MMA to pro boxing and everything of the sort, man.
So if we go back, how did you become a combat sport fan? Like, was it a particular fight or a particular fighter?
Oh man. How I became combat sports commentator. I was living in Florida, and I was actually, Anthony, I'll give you a little exclusive. I was actually training to be a pro wrestler, and I didn't I didn't want to do that anymore. So I decided I want to go back into something I really enjoyed and had trained for a long time. And I started doing combat sports commentary on this channel. And I didn't have a college degree or anything, so I just decided this would be my resume builder. And I just started going live and doing interviews and doing reactions and talking about fighting.
Out of out of personal curiosity, yeah, can you remember where you started trying to become a pro wrestler or not?
Yeah, I can remember. Yeah, I was in Orlando. I was training at W.A.D.E and Devon School in Orlando, and we were doing that. So it was interesting. It was a different time for me, but I think the school. I don't know if it's still around. I think it got shut down because there was a hurricane that came through, and that's kind of why I stopped as well. So yeah, it was at Bubba Ray and Devon School in Orlando, Florida.
Cool. So, so if we take this back even further, what got you into combat sport as a fan?
I was a big fan of Daniel Cormier. Still am. Love DC. And his rise to the Strike Force tournament kind of got me into the sport. Also, being a pro wrestling guy, Brock Lesnar coming into the sport got me into it as well. Back in the early, I guess 2009, 2010, around that time frame,
Yeah.
2008 actually. And then of course the rise of Conor McGregor was such a big thing in that 2014, 2015 kind of era. So all that stuff, I just started to become more and more of a fan of combat sports.
We've got some in common, like, I'm a big DC fan as well.
Heck yeah. That's awesome, dude.
So so I mean, so what was the fight? What was the moment that you went from like an average fan to be like a hardcore fan?
Oh man, that's a good question. My dad was a big boxing fan, and watching Tommy Hearns and Marvin Hagler is something that was almost like it came to be something we did a lot, just watching that fight. He was a big Mike Tyson fan, but I would say for me, I really gravitated toward more MMA. So the big fight that really got me on board and was like, oh man, this is something special is watching what DC did to Josh Barnett in the Strike Force tournament, picking him up, throwing him around, seeing a man that big be able to pick up another man and just toss him over his head. It was pretty wild to see. So I was like, oh man, this is crazy. I want to see more of this.
Yeah, for 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 me, it has to be Chuck Tito too. That
Yeah,
that that rivalry was just a classic rivalry, and,
that was a good one, man.
and obviously have the Dana White factor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All that. No, those were great. That's a great pick, man. I looking back on it, that shaped the UFC. It shaped how combat sports would continue to be looked at. And Chuck and Tito were two of the biggest stars right off the rip. So without them, who knows if we even have any of this?
Yeah, yes, yeah. So when did you decide to create the way concept?
So the W.A.D.E concept started in 2017, right there. That was when I was in Florida. I was doing the training pro wrestling, and I was just like, I always wanted to get into combat sports, and I always wanted to get into sports broadcasting. I just never knew how from that moment. And then since I didn't have the college degree, in the internships wouldn't take me. Like no one would give me an internship, and no one would let me work under the radio stations, the TV companies, because they wanted people with the college journalism degree. So I said, okay, I'll just start my YouTube channel, and that'll be my way of doing it. So I started it, and yeah, that's how we got going.
Did, did you did you train combat sport when you were younger? Like, did you go to any?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it wasn't when I was younger. It was when I got to California. So when I was around 21, 22 is when I started training. So a little bit later, I played football in America and basketball and baseball and all that when I was young. But when I got out of school and I wanted to do more combat and more contact sports and football wasn't there, it was natural for me to go into combat sports. And I started Muay Thai and did that for a couple, maybe 2, 3 years, and then just started strictly boxing.
But, but that when do, do you know when you started your channel, what did you have a set goal in mind? Like I want to create it so I can get to this point, or would you literally just doing it for something to do and then it just sort of blossomed from there? If you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was a little bit of both, man. I didn't really have a goal in mind as far as did I want the channel to become as big as it has become. I didn't know it would ever do that. No, I genuinely thought, okay, I'll make this channel, and this will be when I go and show companies that I want to work for them. This will be my resume. This will be what I show them instead of like a college degree. So my whole goal was just to make it look nice enough to where companies would take me seriously.
And so going on what you said like creating your channel in 2017, I think you said. So that would basically at the same time at the start of cross crossover boxing or influencer boxing, whatever you want to refer to it as.
Yep.
So 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 when did you decide this is gonna be my lane, so to speak?
Yeah, that's a good question. I had seen the rise of crossover boxing, like you said, around that 2017, 2018, and I really jumped on board when KSI was about to fight Logan Paul the first time. And this was after the Joe Weller fight, but I was like, man, this is interesting. It's interesting because I trained enough to know. I use this phrase a lot, Anthony. I know enough to know I don't know a lot, right? I had trained enough at that point to know a little enough to say where guys were starting and where they could potentially go as far as their skill level. And, people were just kind of making fun of the influencers. They were like, oh, these guys can't box, disgrace to the sport, yada, yada. And I looked at it a different way when I was like, let me just look and see if they're taking it seriously. If they're taking it seriously, then I may want to cover this. And sure enough, Logan and KSI were training their butts off, and I started diving into it then. And when I knew it would be my lane is when I think the Jake Paul and Nate Robinson fight came around. That's when I knew it would be my lane because, again, years later we were talking about it, and the same things people were still saying about Jake, and I was like, no, Jake's gonna hurt this guy. Like he's better. He has gotten good at this sport. And people didn't believe me because Nate was such a big NBA athlete and all this, and Jake flatlined him. So yeah,
A lot, you can, a lot of people fail to realize you can invest you can invest all the financial backing into something. You can invest all the time and all the effort into it, but if you don't have the natural capability, then you're not really gonna go very far,
true,
are you?
true.
That that you know when you first when you first got your bit of when you got your first bit of notoriety, I think we will call it. What was your first reaction to it?
My first video that kind of went big was my breakdown of Faye Sensei and KSI Spar. And I remember posting the video, and I had two jobs at the time. So I went to work at my second job or something. And I came back home and it was doing well. It was like, 4,000 views. And I was like, oh, that's great. Heck yeah, this is awesome. People are engaging it. I went to sleep, Anthony, and I woke up the next day and it had 90,000 views. And I was like, oh, so this is something. And it just kept growing and growing. And then, Sensei, my brother now, I didn't know him at the time. He reached out, got in the comment section, said, great breakdown, man, whatever. And I just went, oh, wow, this is something cool. I people actually genuinely take to this, and it's something that I really loved doing. I was doing it when it was getting 2 views, so that was pretty cool to see at the time.
And if you if we had if we had a time machine and you could go back to that way, what would your main advice be for him, and what would you say to him about the video about that video in particular?
Such a great question, Anthony. What would I have said to him? I would have said, honestly, do exactly what you're doing, because regardless of what I've learned in the time since, what made that video great and what makes what I do now, I think, great, is that I genuinely love doing it. And there was no force. There was no one was forcing me to do a video. Like, I genuinely, when I sit down to do one, I want to do one, you know? So I would just told him, keep doing what you're doing. Maybe don't sit on that chair as much because I'm having some back issues and things, but don't sit down as much. Maybe go for a couple walks here and there. But outside of that, just keep doing what you're doing.
What what do you think your biggest misconception about creating content when you first started? And
I thought my biggest misconception was that I thought you had to be this buttoned up, sports analyst that always, spoke with TV punctuality and never provided any sort of opinion, or was buttoned up to the point where they weren't talking in the way that a normal person would. Like, I always thought you had to be professional, be super professional. And then when I started being myself more, Anthony, that's when I think people started to gravitate toward what I did, because being yourself is the most authentic thing you can be.
yeah, not not to make it too much out of it. That's something I used to struggle with, and obviously because of my cerebral palsy, my speech pattern can be a bit slurred sometimes. So I used to get really uptight about it, and to be honest, there's certain days where I still get a bit uptight about it. But compared to how I used to be, I've I've definitely grown in my confidence. So yeah, I completely agree with that. Be yourself.
You're a beast, though, Anthony. I want you to know you're an absolute beast, man. This is one of the best interviews I've done. So don't get uptight about anything. You're a beast of an interviewer, man. You're killing it.
So going from making the videos in the office, and then going from that to being on a big platform like the Zone, was there was there any nervousness, or was there any anxiety, or by that point where you like, oh, I know I know who I am, and I'm just gonna be confident in myself?
Oh, listen, I was nervous for sure. I was nervous. Because you never know, you're never ready for the moments that in your life you're going to take that next step. You're never ready. People talk about being ready, and capitalizing on your moment. For me, I knew I wasn't ready, but I couldn't let anybody else know. And the way I prepared myself was just to go out, like you said, and be confident in what they brought me on for a reason, right? They saw something in me, so go prove them right, regardless, and use the nerves, right? Use the fear, use the nerves, use the anxiety to push yourself to that next place that life has given you that opportunity. That door is being knocked on. All you got to do is open it. You just got to answer it. So that's yeah, I was super nervous for Misfits number 100%, but um my performance there allowed me to be confident going forward that I would never let them down.
Was there anybody that got you under your wing, like your first go on the show? Was there anybody that really gave you good advice? Or
Yeah, yeah, a couple people. True Jordy, Brian gave me some great advice. He calmed me down a lot, man. We were in the lobby of I don't even know, the O2, the hotel at O2. We're in the lobby and Brian, I never met him in person. We had talked a bunch of times and I've been on his show, and but we met in person, and he comes in and he puts his arm around me. He goes, I want this guy on commentary with me. I want him around. He gave me a lot of confidence in myself when I didn't know, if I was ready for that moment. He definitely helped out there. And then just everybody else, KSI gave me confidence when I interviewed him. He's like, you're doing a great job. Love what you're doing. When I sat down with Jake Paul in Dubai, and he was like, you're the next Joe Rogan of this. Regardless of my opinions on anyone, or if I see eye to eye with everyone, having people that have been in this space a very long time that understand it tell me that I'm on my way was very, very good for my confidence, for sure.
yeah, so so going going from just talking about just 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 talking at the scene to not actually being in the scene and having relationship with some of these fighters. Did that sort of change your videos a little bit? Like we like a bit apprehensive to like criticize people at the start, or you're like, I'm just gonna be me.
Yeah, is I always told myself, no matter how much I grew, and yes, I do have relationships with some of the guys, so it makes it a little difficult, but I will always be my authentic, honest self, right? And I have to be, for transparency, for my integrity, for my channel, for myself. I have to be, right? And I think that the service that I provide by doing that is something that you're not going to get from guys that are just strictly like friends of other content creators. Like, yes, you'll be able to have your boys back, but I'm going to offer an opinion that they might not like. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of the situation. I want to do that and I have to do that because the people deserve to know the truth.
And also you don't wanna ruin your platform as well, because if you built your platform up of being up of giving honest opinions, then 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 going a complete 180 is also gonna ruin your platform as well, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it would ruin a lot of things. It would ruin my credibility.
yeah.
It would ruin the trust in people that, or the trust that people have in me. And honestly, it would ruin, to me, it would just ruin my outlook on how I do things. It would ruin what I've built. So yeah, I couldn't do that.
So if you mentioned credibility there, if apologies, if somebody new came into the scene and they messaged you and said, "Wade, what do you have any advice for me? What would that be?"
Yeah, I've had this question before. When Fred Talks Fighting was around 200 subscribers, he came to me with the same thing. Christian HD, so many other channels have asked me this question. If you're looking to create content, I've always said to people, be willing to be consistent, right? Be willing to put in hard work that isn't a 9 to 5. Sometimes it's 9 to 9. Sometimes it's 18 hours a day. It just depends on what it is that you're doing. And also be able to be yourself. Don't create content just because you feel like other people want to watch it, but you're not passionate about it. Create the content you're passionate about. And by way of the passion you bring it and the consistency that you bring and the different variety that you have, what makes you special, people will get involved in that way. That will bring people to your content. Being your most authentic self, covering it with your most passionate self is what I think, in my case, especially, has brought people closer to my platform.
What, like, why did you go like down on the wide concept? Is there any particular reason, or
Yeah,
you?
yeah. So I had a girlfriend at the time that actually deserves a lot of credit for this. She we were thinking I was thinking of a channel name and I was stuck, and I was thinking of acronym stuff, and she goes, "Why don't you use your name? Your name is an acronym." I went, "Oh, okay." So it stands for We Are Debating Everything. That's the acronym WADE, and then just concept I just throw on the end there. But yeah, that's what it is.
I think it good branding, even though you're predominantly covered, but I think it's not like it's called Wade but Wade boxing, so
Yep.
it's not like you can't cover MMA, or you sometimes do pro wrestling watch
Yep.
alongs. I believe you do one this weekend at the
I'm doing
comic
one
book.
tonight. I'm doing two this weekend. Doing one tonight. Doing one tomorrow.
Yeah, that's so. So, so as I said, at least you didn't box yourself in it, because sometimes people come up with a name and they can box themselves into content when they and then eventually they start to lose interest.
Yep.
They yeah, good name choice. So you know, so so what was it? So before you started working with design, did you have much commentary experience?
No, not really. Not much at all. I had one, especially in the combat sports scene, I had one other event, and that was Creator Clash. So they took a chance on me, and I appreciated, Misfits and DAZN for taking that chance. But I had done some commentary in other stuff in other sports like basketball, esports. I had done some commentary in as well. But as far as combat sports, I had just done it from my home. I'd never done it. My first one was in front of 10,000 people for Creator Clash, and that one was like, oh my god, man! So that one was crazy. But again, that night gave me a lot of confidence heading into Misfits One, and from so on, I just kept building.
So what would you say in your commentary style? Are you like are you like broken that basically say what you see, or are you like more like analytical with it? 'Cause when I listen to your commentary, you sound like you're very analytical.
It depends. It depends. For if I'm gonna be head commentary like I am on Creator Clash, or like when I'm here at the office and I'm doing some watch alongs, I'll be more analytical because I'm trying to describe as a head commentator what's happening in front of me, right? But if
Yeah.
I'm got one of the best in the world, Todd Grisham sitting beside me, and I'm just here to pick up space, then I fill that Rogan role where I say what I see, right? So I think I could do a little bit of both, but I'd say my commentary style is just energy. I have tons of energy.
Uh, Um, what we did, obviously, as you just mentioned, you did a bit of commentary for a sport, yeah. But the first time you did commentary for, for anything, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? One of your mistakes were like? Is there anything? Is there anything you took for granted about commentary? About commentary in particular?
I think the first one, this was years ago, when I was doing NBA commentary for the summer league, was I think I underestimated what preparation I would need for that position. I thought because I was, and this is something that I still struggle with, is sometimes I think I can be a little bit of a know it all, that I'm like, oh, I don't need to go and prepare. I'm ready, whatever. And I've gotten really good about this in the last couple of years because I've started to have to branch out. But before that, I would just go, yeah, I'm a basketball fan. I know what basketball is. I'm going to go commentate basketball. And I got in front of 2 or 3 thousand people in the NBA Summer League and went, oh no, I don't know what I'm talking about. So that was the first one I took for granted. So I learned from that to always prepare and have myself ready.
That in, in your opinion, because it is subjective, what makes a good combat sports commentator or analyst or however you want to refer to it as.
I think it's a couple of things. The Rogan rule is definitely one. Say what you see, right? You don't say things that you don't see. But also, two, being able to translate high level combat sports to an audience that may not understand it as high level as it's actually going on is a really, really finite skill. And that's why the best in the world are guys like Rogan, DC, Michael Bisping, John Anik. Those guys can do that because they understand the sport and they can, I don't want to say dumb it down, but they can condense it into a palatable discussion for people that don't really understand it on that level to have discussions and be intrigued by the fight. So being concise, high energy, and say what you see. Those are my three.
So, and on the other side of that, what do you think makes a good analyst? Yeah, I know when you're doing commentary, you basically are doing analysis, but it's different being on
Right.
commentary and then putting to up the fight and then basically talking about it when you just talking to camera basically or talking to fellow your fellow your fellow pundits or whatever you're going to refer to them as.
Yeah. Yeah. What makes a good analyst is someone that can. It's really tough to say. You don't want to exaggerate things, right? Like there's very small instances in fights that I think sometimes I do. I struggle with, and others do too. That we exaggerate, right? Very small potential things that can happen that we make into this bigger picture, like this is going to happen, right? For example, Ryan Garcia gets hit with a left hand from Luke Campbell. The entire discussion for Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia is what if Gervonta hits him with that left hand? Not taking into account that there's so many other factors that can go on in that fight and probably will, but we focus on that very small detail and expand it to be the biggest thing that could happen, right? So an analyst, a good analyst will also counter with other things that can potentially happen and why those things are probably more likely. And there's so many other things that make a good analyst, but again, being concise and making sure that the information being relayed to the people is something they can understand and gets them closer knowledge to the fight.
The, so do you know when you used to watch? When you used to watch fights when you were younger? Were you like one of them kids that used to pretend to be the commentator?
Yes,
Oh,
brother. Yes, 100%. That was me, man. That was me. When I was watching fights, when I was watching sports, when I was watching pro wrestling, I was commentating it all in my little living room. I had my little remote control microphone doing it, the whole thing, man. Of course.
I, 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 I always wanted to be like a wrestling commentator or a wrestling manager.
Heck yeah. No, dude, we got to get you out there then, man. We got to get Anthony on at ringside being wrestling manager, man. We got to get you going. That'd be so cool.
So he started getting more known, yeah, and he started collaborating with people like True Jordan and Sensei. How did that change your perspective on not only content creating, but maybe the combat sport game that you
Yeah.
might that you might not have thought about before?
Oh yeah, no, listen, those two have been crucial for my knowledge going exponentially higher. True Jordy is a commentator. As someone that had been in this scene for a long time, he has helped me navigate YouTube and kind of the highs and lows of it, the work that needs to be put in, different things on the technical side that I could be doing better. Coaching me through, specific things that I'm doing with my commentary that he likes and things I can work on. Sensei, for as much as I talk about, the fight game, there's just a level of knowledge that you can't get unless you've done it as many times as he has. And he has, just talking with him on a regular basis because of the Breakdown podcast, he's educated me tenfold on my combat sports knowledge. Just hearing him talk and seeing the views and the way he analyzes stuff, it's almost like a completely different angle sometimes that I'm even thinking about that he brings to the discussion. And I think it's so valuable. So yeah, both those guys have helped me out a lot.
So, so, so I do not recently. You've now left Misfit. So what do you think you've learned from Misfit that you can take not only into your own channel but also onto other platforms?
Oh man, there's so many things, and really I learned a lot of it from DAZN because DAZN is the broadcast partner for
Yeah,
Misfits. So for the most part, everything that I was doing on Fight Week was run in the back end by DAZN. So I learned how to host a press conference. I learned how to present with a producer in my ear talking to me while I'm talking to you. So it's like you're listening, but also trying to respond. I've learned how to set up ad breaks, how to come out of ad breaks, how to go from one segment to the next, thanks to W.A.D.E, my brother. Um, I've learned how to operate a lot of the equipment ringside, different camera angles, things that, again, you just don't learn until you're in front of it. With a high quality production team, I've learned a lot from DAZN and those people, and yeah, I'm gonna take that to wherever I go. Even my channel, we're doing some things that are coming up that are gonna be similar.
that on the personal level, you have a producer in your area. I did find that because I when people talk about that, the first thing that comes into my head, I could never do that. So
It's
I
so
went.
tough, man. It's so tough because they're trying to instruct you on what's next, or if you miss something, they want you to fill in. Luckily, I don't have to do it a lot because Ade Oladipo is usually the one that has the producers in his ear. But if I'm running the broadcast or if I'm on commentary, you might get a producer pop in every now and then and say something while you're speaking. It's a little nerve wracking because you have to listen to what's being said to you live from a guy like Ade trying to throw to me for the next segment, but also the producer's like, hey, when Ade throws to you, mention this as well. So you're listening to two people while also trying to prepare for what you want to say because you're listening. So it's difficult, but you learn how to do it the more you do it.
And I look at it, look at it. There's not really people with the name Wade. If I did it, it would probably be a nightmare because the name Anthony is a very common name. So,
Yeah.
so I imagine if you've got a common name that a lot of people may have, it could be 10 times worse.
Yeah, listen, my name in the United States is it's not common, but it's I've heard it a couple times. You want to know where I got my name, Anthony?
Where did you get your name?
My mom was this is what my dad told me. I don't know if this is true. My mom was a big fan of a bull rider. So I'm from the South. I'm from Tennessee. My mom was a big fan. I think she had the hots for a bull rider back in the day. His name was Wade. So I guess when I was about to be born, she remembered that name. And so my actual name is Taylor Wade. So my first name's Taylor and I don't go by it. But my middle name is Wade. She stuck that one in there to remind her of that bull rider she used to like. So
Obviously, you know your friends and your family. Do they, what do they call you? Do they just call you Wade or do they call
yeah,
you?
everybody calls me Wade. The only time I get Taylor Wade is when I'm in trouble. So I don't get that one a lot. If I hear Taylor Wade, I know I've done something wrong. Hold on. What happened?
I I I imagine at your age you don't hear that you don't hear that very often at this point, do you?
No, not too much, not anymore. Listen though, my mom still gets on me. She's still, my number one supporter, but also if I step out of line, she's there. So I make sure I don't do that too much.
You know, do, you know if somebody asked you, yeah, would you know if you were offered to do like MMA commentary or even pro wrestling commentary, would you do it or do you do it? Or at this point, would you just prefer to stick in the boxing lane?
No, I would do all of it, man. I want to do it all. I'm gonna take over the game, Anthony. I'm telling you now. Mark my words. I want all of it. So yeah, if I'm asked to do MMA commentary, I'm there. If I'm asked to do pro wrestling commentary, I am there, buddy. So yeah, I want all of it.
Say, say, so what combat sport do you prefer? Do you prefer boxing or MMA?
MMA. MMA.
Me, me too, because I feel like MMA is a lot more interesting because because 1 minute it could be it could be a kickboxing match, and then the next minute somebody could be in the guillotine.
Yeah,
So
there's so many things that could happen, man. It's a variable sport. You have to be at the highest level in like five or six, seven, eight disciplines.
that's why when some people say I would like to see a YouTube MMA event, I'm like, yes, it would be interesting, but I doubt many people would actually want to do it.
Yeah, you're probably right. The time commitment, the ability to learn all that stuff in a short amount of time, and the danger involved in it. I don't know if I'd ever want to see it because you're talking about people that are just barely learning to box, let alone learning how to kick and how to wrestle and how to defend themselves on the ground and submissions and ground and pound. It's a lot, man.
I know it's I do just said it would probably it would probably just be a boxing match anyway. So
Yep.
you might and to be honest, I think obviously they're both dangerous sports, but I would say MMA is more dangerous in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I would 100% agree with that.
So what's the moment in this journey where you had where you had any like major regret either like creating the channel or getting involved in like the commentary side of it or
No,
anything like
man.
that?
I don't think I've had any regrets. I think I've done, if I've regretted anything, it's like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done, I wish I would have. The only regrets I probably have had is I wish I would have said more, right? I wish I would have put more out there. Or like sometimes when you do an interview and you get done with it, you're like, I had that question. I wish I would have said that. You forget sometimes. That's the only real regrets I have. I never regret going and doing something like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Because I haven't at this point, knock on wood, I haven't put myself in any situation to regret any of that stuff that I've done.
Because I, I, the way I look at life, I feel like life is too short to regret anything when it comes to things like
Facts.
career wise. Obviously, there's personal stuff that you can regret career wise. There's not really a lot to really fret about it.
Facts. You're 100% right, Anthony. Life is way too short to move through your career and not take opportunities because of the potential that you might not live up to it or that you don't know how it's going to work out, because that's something you'll regret. You'll regret not taking the opportunity.
Uh, what, this is a bit. This is a, do you know when it comes to crossover marketing, a lot of the time, yeah, when I look at some of the cards, yeah, some of them are just not that engaging to me. Like it feels like a lot of the cards. I know that's sort of changing now, but I feel like a lot of the cards are just really flat, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. You're right. This is because, and you're making a lot of sense, Anthony. Guys that are influencers aren't being influencers. They are shutting down half of what makes influencer boxing great to just go fully into boxing. And the reason that we like influencer boxing, yeah, one is because it's a little more unrefined, and so we get some of these crazy brawls. But at the same time, it's more so, in my opinion, because we have entertainers, natural entertainers stepping into a boxing ring. And when you lose that side of it, the entertainment side, we're just watching low level boxing. We don't. No one wants to watch that. We want to watch entertainment, right? So they have to be better about entertaining and providing value that pro boxing doesn't. And that's where we're getting a little bit lost here.
I know that I'm not like really plugged into the scene, but I see enough and I hear enough the way it feels like a lot of people like to price themselves like to price
Yep,
themselves out, and I
100%.
and
You're right about that.
I understand it to a degree because obviously get, collect the bag, but yeah, but I don't think influencer boxing is at at that level yet. Where like basically what I'm trying to say is I think some of these fighters need to be more more realistic of what they're bringing of what they bring to the table.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be more realistic for sure. If you're not bringing multiple millions of dollars of revenue in or multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue in, it's hard to ask for that same amount to be paid, right? And I'm not saying that guys shouldn't be paid. It's just you hit the nail on the head. You have to be realistic about what it is that you bring to the table.
You have to build I know that you have to build up your name as well as becoming in the ring. So the next time you fight, you'll throw a fight with a lot bigger and then you can request the bigger bag.
Yeah, 100%. You go in and perform and you prove what you're worth and you show how many people come to watch you perform. That next one's going to be even bigger for you. Salt Poppy's probably the biggest uh, proponent of that. You know, even the Nissan Gib, those guys have built themselves, and because of the way they fought and the way that they're just charismatic outside of it, they've built a bag on what it is that they're going to do.
Like at the moment, we get in that like in I, we get in that like with obviously Tyson Fury and music. It's a whole flower at the moment.
Yep.
One side is saying one thing, and then the other side is saying another thing. I personally think I personally think, let me start by saying this. I don't think I don't think anybody care anybody cared of the other fighter. But I do think it's the people in the background being a bit being a bit being a bit intimidated that that the other one might lose. Because if I'm being honest, I think Usyk beats Tyson Fury, to be honest.
Yeah, there definitely is some of that there, right? You don't see Tyson Fury being this difficult with Derek Chisora. You know, you don't see him being this difficult with some other guys that he knows, okay, this is a clear win for me, right? Like, I don't, let's just get it signed and get it done. When there's fights that he potentially may lose and it's a big time fight, and granted, I get it, they want to make money, whatever. But there's a reason that Anthony Joshua wasn't picked as quickly, right? There's a reason now that Usyk has had to jump through hoop after hoop after hoop. It does feel like, especially on Fury's side, they want to make it as difficult as possible because maybe they're not as confident in that fight.
Like, say what you want about Joshua, but at least we've seen most of the big fight that I want to see from
Yeah,
Joshua.
he
Oh,
jumped in with everybody. He did. He proved it that he wanted to go and fight him, and he didn't do what stuff that Tyson's doing. Even with Tyson's impressive record, Anthony went and fought Usyk when he didn't have to, and then he fought him again. And unfortunately, it's tough, to lose both times. But he went and challenged himself.
do you think it's Tyson or do you think it's the people behind him? Because
I think it's
sometimes
Tyson. I think it's 100% Tyson because Tyson operates based on what Tyson wants to do. And those people that are behind him, they follow suit based on what Tyson wants to do.
Because the one thing you can say like you know how to get the audience riled up
Yeah.
enough, get them to believe that it's a crime and not taking the fight, and that that's the one that's one of the main criticisms of Tyson. It, it, it gives it all the build up, but when
Yeah.
it comes actually actually doing business. He doesn't do any. He doesn't do the business. At this, at this point, I don't think you can really put him in the best of all time category to be honest.
I agree with you, man. He's not been undisputed. Lennox Lewis was undisputed.
And and then Lewis for everybody for the most part.
Yeah. Took them all on. Beat them all.
And
Knocked out
he,
everybody that ever beat him.
and even the one that he did, even the one that he did lose, obviously he got the knockout. He got the knockout in the rematch.
Yep. So it's hard to say that Tyson Fury is better, even as a countryman, than Lennox Lewis, let alone better all time, because Lennox Lewis did the things that Tyson Fury is not willing to at the moment.
But because of the age that we live in, people can build up people can build up their legacy without having to fight some of the best guys of their time. And
Yep.
obviously, if you get a good knockout, that'll go viral, and and then people are just gonna start calling you the best of all time.
True, man. That's such a true statement, Anthony. It's called recency bias, man. Everybody sees the big knockout and it trends on Twitter, and all of a sudden you're the greatest because you've knocked out a guy you were supposed to knock out. You know?
And I feel like sometimes people are looking for the knockout too much, like for that. Like what I mean is by the head shots, and people don't. A lot of people don't do enough body work as well.
True. Very true. The body is one of the lost arts in pro boxing, and it has never, no one's ever found it in influencer boxing. It hasn't even been lost because no one ever found it. But in pro boxing, it's a lost art, man. The body work is, Teddy Atlas says you put water in the basement and it floods all the way up, right? So yeah, you start putting water in that basement and the head opens up.
But I've always said crossover vaccines are obviously going to be influenced by the pros. So if the body so if the body game need to come back to the pro, they're going to somebody in crossover boxing would use it.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. The more that they see pros doing it, the more they'll start to implement it into their game because there is that reflection from the pros all the way down. So, yeah, you're probably right about that.
So my last couple of questions. So, so, so if you could go back to the start of your if you could go back to the start of your YouTube channel, what video? No, hang on. What video would say? What apologies? What video would you say is your highest point?
Like my favorite video,
Either your favorite or the one that did the best, like in terms of numbers.
the one that did the best in terms of numbers for straight away was the Sensei and KSI spar. My favorite video, one of my favorite videos, is the Jay Swingler interview. And it's one of the least performing videos, but I just had such a good time interviewing Jay, and he's such a great guy. To be as authentic as he was on camera. I'd never met him, and it was like two dudes that had just been friends for forever. So that was a really cool interview. That was a really cool video for me.
Do you feel like somehow in interviewing when interviewing like when you're interviewing fighters from the crossover boxing scene, you sometimes get the vibe that they're trying to be too serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes Jay didn't do that. Jay was pretty, himself. But sometimes guys try to be too serious. They try to like, I don't want to say they're trying to be. I think it's just a shift in their mindset because they feel as if that's what boxers do. So for them to be treated seriously, they have to like be more serious. Now some guys do better with that than others, but for the most part, the guys that are still themselves and still provide that entertainment and just you know, do what it was that was got them to the dance in the first place. Those are the guys I like interviewing more.
Now I'm up to ultimate question. I know you did a video on this not too long ago, but who are your top five favorite fighters in crossover boxing?
Yeah. I'm going to give you my top five. Okay, here we go. Number five, favorite. I'll do a
Yeah,
favorite and I'll do the best. How about that? My favorite to watch. Number five. You know what? Nick LMAO is going to sneak in. I love watching that kid. He's so good, man. He's only 6 months into the game and he's shoulder rolling fulls. He's parrying shots. Number four, anytime you get Slim, he's going to put on a star-studded performance, and he just goes to war. So I love watching him fight. Number three, honestly, I like watching Logan fight. I think he has a lot of things he can work on, but he's a natural athlete, and some of the stuff he does, even in the WWE ring, it jumps off the page at you. So he's fun to watch. Number two, Salt Poppy for sure. Love watching him fight. And then number one, it's not even Jake or KSI because I love watching them fight. They're big fights, but people are gonna laugh. It's Face Sensei, dude. I love watching Face Sensei fight, man. I get nervous because it's my guy now, but I think he's one of the more talented guys. And I just think, man, how much skill he would have had if this influencer scene would have popped off like 5 years ago or 5 years before when he was young. Whew, it would have been nasty.
yeah, he doesn't look, he doesn't look that old to be honest.
He's not that old, but he's 31 now. So it's like some of these guys are 24, 25. They're a little younger, but now let's do top five, you know, in the scene. Not my favorite, but in the scene. It's got to be number five. Um, put Salt Poppy at number five. He deserves a top five spot. Number four, I'm going with Gib, and people aren't going to like that, but I'm going to go Gib. Number three is going to be Slim. Number two is KSI. Number one is Jake. That's where I'm keeping it.
That, yeah, so I've just remember, I've just, I've, I've just remembered something else about it. But when you're doing something like an interview, and something goes wrong, and then you have coffee poured all over you. Why do you react? Why do you internal reaction in that moment? Are you like, what the fuck going on here? Or
The,
you don't really just happen, or are
yeah,
you
with
like,
the Dylan thing when he threw the coffee, I was shocked. Obviously, I was like, "What in the world is this shit?" Um, but I was more so concerned about a fight breaking out, so I was just trying to separate and like, if I got to get hit, fine, but don't let our main event, whatever is going to happen here, get in trouble or whatever. Um, I remember there's times where I've done interviews where I've deleted the footage on accident, and I'm like, "Oh my god," or I didn't record the audio, but for the most part, in real time, the coffee thing is one that I will never forget. And I was just trying to make sure that no one got trampled. That was really it.
when it all calmed down, everybody was like, you, you, you look back on that thing, that was pretty cool. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Afterward, I looked at it and was like, okay, I got smashed in the face with a plastic cup of coffee, but it was one of those moments where it's like just like the John Fury almost coming over the ropes at me and Jake, you know, and his whole chest and belly's flopping out everywhere. It's one of those things I look back and I go, well, at least I got to be a part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the last question is, you know, obviously one day we're all gonna pass it. We're all gonna pass away and go on to another life, whatever you believe. So if you were said to you tomorrow, unfortunately, unfortunately, why you could you've got some sort. Hang on, let me rephrase it. Obviously, we're all gonna die eventually. So what is the one video you would say is your best on your work? And what video would you say? Please forget that one. Please forget that one.
My best body of work video would probably be either the top 10 influencer boxing moments of all time, because it's one of those videos where I think even down the line you can come back to it and look and say, wow, this time period had all this crazy stuff, you know? Either that or the 18-hour live stream, the Jake Paul, Tommy Fury 18-hour live stream. That one was pretty fun. And then one I want everyone to forget about is my prediction video for the Ben Askren and Jake Paul fight.
You can't, you can't be that bad. Because I sometimes do predictions on my channel, but I think MMA cards and sometimes the boxing fights. And after the time, I'm like, if I get it wrong, it doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world.
No, it's not the end of the world. It was just one of those moments where I was so wrong that I'll never be able to live that one down. It's no big deal. It's turned into a meme at this point, but it was funny. It was definitely a funny one.
And so thank you for coming on, mate. I doubt whether anybody that watched this video won't know you are, but in case there is some people that don't know, would you want to promote your social and your channel?
Yeah, no, listen, you can find me at the Wade Concept on YouTube, and then Wade Plim on Twitter and socials. But for everybody watching this on Anthony's channel, I just want you guys to make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video, make sure you follow Anthony on his socials, Anthony Talk One, and give this guy the due respect and the praise and the honor he deserves. Anthony, I thank you so much for allowing me to come on the channel, man. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Wade. Thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for the support and stay tuned to the channel. And look at over the next couple of days or so, there's going to be a lot of content going on.
There it is.
Get ready for that.
I'm ready, baby. Let's do it.
So see you later, everyone. Have a good night or day whenever you're watching this. And thank you very much.
Boom.